All right, Thursday night, time for our Las Vegas Triathlon Club member spotlight. And tonight we've got a new new to us triathlete. So this is going to be a lot of fun. Kate Rye. Hi, Kate. How are you?
Hi, I'm great, thanks.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us. This is going to be a lot of fun to get to know you. And hey, Bob, how's it going?
I'm doing fine, John. Thank you so much. I didn't get
Awesome.
in at 3:30 in the morning like you did, but
Yeah, yeah.
I'm,
Flight
I'm doing. I got a
delays.
little bit more sleep, I think.
There you go. And I just drink more coffee. That's
All
all.
right.
But this is going to be fun to get to know Kate. I actually met Kate in our last swim clinic, where I was just having a good swim, and then all of a sudden this person just rips right by me, and I just had a feeling it was Kate, and it was. So we confirmed that tonight. It was a Kate sighting on the swim, but it was really neat to see how fast you are swimming, and that was really impressive. So. Thanks for joining us, and this is going to be really fun. You're brand new to the club, but I'm going to go ahead and punt over to Bob Gamble for the official introduction.
All right. Thank you, John, and welcome, Kate. Thanks so much for doing
Thank
this. I
you.
appreciate your taking the time to do it. And just to echo also, folks, what John said. Um, Whenever I first met Kate, it was at a swim clinic, and I thought, okay, here's a young, brand new triathlete. She's learning how to do open water swims, and that's not the case at all. Kate has done, she's swam competitively in college and has swum across Lake Tahoe.
Yeah,
So here's somebody who, that's 22 miles. And here's somebody who I thought was just getting started in triathlon, and this is going to be
yeah,
her, she's at a swim clinic, to learn how to do open water, and she can teach all of us something.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that's absolutely wonderful. So welcome again, Kate, and just uh, so everybody knows a little bit more about Kate. Went to first year UNLV here, swam competitively.
Mhm.
Went up to UNR and finished her undergrad there. Came back down for a master. You're working on your master's in occupational therapy. Is
Uh,
that correct?
It's actually the doctorate of
Doctorate,
occupational
yeah.
therapy at
Doctorate. Okay,
UNLV.
you're in your
Yes.
doctorate program. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
And so thanks again for being on here. But what the heck made you get into triathlon?
Well, thanks for having me. And I had actually been thinking about triathlon for a long time growing up. It was just something in the back of my mind because I did cross country in high school, even though I was primarily a competitive swimmer growing up. And so I think I always knew I wanted to do one. And then after my first year of collegiate swimming, I was just at a point where I was a little burnt out of purely just swimming. And I didn't want to give up the sport completely. So I kind of thought it would be a great time to start doing triathlon where I could incorporate some other forms of exercise into training. And so when I moved back up to Reno and Tahoe area, that's when I kind of started um, doing triathlon training. I started learning how to bike. I had a lot of good friends up there who kind of showed me some routes, got me set up with a bike. And then, yeah, I started training for about a year and I did a few Olympic distance triathlons, more local ones. And then COVID hit. So I was still training. And that's actually when I decided to swim across the lake because there weren't any races. So yeah, that was kind of my intro to triathlon.
I have a lot of questions to unpack just on based on what you just said there. First of all, how long did it take you to get across the lake?
It was about 10 hours, 10 and a half
10
hours.
hours of
Yeah.
swimming.
Yeah. So it
So
was, and the format of it was I would stop every 30 minutes for fluids and then every hour for fluids and some sort of nutrition. Um, but the caveat was I couldn't touch the kayak or the boat because otherwise it wouldn't count.
right.
So it was quick stops, treading water, and then handing off whatever I had to the person in the kayak. I just wasn't allowed to touch the boat. Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's something you like learn something new every
Yeah.
day. Um, one of the things that brings up now, a follow-up is how did you learn the nutrition needed to swim 10 hours?
Um, my swim coach that I had growing up, one of them, he had actually done this swim, the Tahoe swim, 2 or 3 times. So I kind of met with him and talked about it and kind of went off of what he had told me, and I did my research. I think the challenging part for me was growing up as a swimmer who was primarily swimming in a pool. I didn't ever really take in nutrition other than electrolytes. So I wasn't necessarily used to eating while I swam or kind of spacing it out. And so I tried it on a couple open water swims, but it was one of those COVID last minute decisions where I really decided I was going to do this swim about a week before I did it. So it was I kind of told myself I kind of like, you know what?
Back that up. What was this about
Bob's freezing
a
there.
week before? Tell me again.
I knew it was something I always wanted to do, and then just when COVID hit, I was like, you know, I think this might be the summer to do it. So I just was like, if I can't do it, I can't do it. I get on the boat when they take me back, but if I can do it, I might as well try. And I had been open water swimming a lot that summer because all the pools were shut down, so I was comfortable in open water. And obviously with the Tahoe temperature, it was more of like, okay, well, if I can't do it, I get on the boat and I go to shore. Like there wasn't really and I tried again next year. It wasn't something where I was like.
Can you give a sense of, do you remember how many yards roughly or meters you were doing a week leading up to that?
Probably not anything.
It might be my internet. I don't know.
Yeah, actually, I think it's Kate's. Kate, you're freezing up on us if you can hear us. I'm not sure why. Oh, no.
No, we'll wait. But I'll as she's getting back connected, I'll tell everyone swimming 22 miles is amazing. A lot of open water competitions are 10K. So doing a 22 miles. Sorry, you froze there, and we
I
lost
know.
you for a
I think
bit.
I
Yeah.
fixed it.
All right. So I was just sort of filling some airtime there and talking about 10K open water competitions. Doing 22 miles is just an amazing feat. And so what was your training like at that point, roughly?
I think I was still doing triathlon training,
Mhm.
but then just obviously prioritizing open
Yeah.
water swimming.
Mhm.
And since there weren't any races, I wasn't necessarily
All right.
doing anything like preparing for a race. So when I decided I was going to do Tahoe, which I guess it was in the back of my mind, so I kind of knew like, okay, I should be
Yeah.
building up my open water swims.
Yeah.
But I think the longest consistent swim that I did before Tahoe was a 10K.
Okay. Wow.
Okay, and then you
That's
went into
great.
22 miles, 3.5 times that.
That's awesome.
Can
So
I
I'm gonna,
ask you what was the recovery like from that? You know, as far as how many days and what was the most sore thing on you?
My shoulders for sure were really sore. And I got a like wetsuit burn, which I didn't feel while I was swimming, which was great. It was just after the fact. And then recovery wise, it didn't take as long as you would think. I think just because swimming is the least impactful on your body compared to like running or cycling even. But and I think my recovery also, there was a wrench thrown in it because then 2 weeks later, that was when I was in a big bike car accident.
oh boy. Okay, I want to get to that, but I got a couple of questions before we jump in there. What was your swim event when you swam collegiately or in high school?
That is a great question, and people are very surprised because I was a sprinter.
Yeah.
And so now I'm on the
Yeah.
complete other side. I
Yeah.
do distance and open water, but I was a 50-yard freestyler and 100-yard freestyler.
Oh, if your coach only knew the endurance athlete in you, that's awesome. All right, so yeah, let's jump into the action because that was something I saw on Facebook about that, and I think at that point I was really interested in that part because you recovered so well from it. But you said 2 weeks after your open water swim, you had an accident of some sort where a car hit you.
Yeah, so I was on my road bike, and I was going down a hill, and it wasn't any major road. It was in Reno, so like a side street, and I was coming down a hill, and a car was coming up, and he went to take a turn. So I'm coming down, he's coming up, and he went to turn, but he didn't see me, and I actually realized that he didn't see that I was there. So I tried to move out of the way to avoid getting hit, but it just wasn't fast enough. And so he ended up T-boning me on the right side of my body. I flew up off, like unclipped from my bike somehow, and then came back down and landed flat on the pavement on my stomach. So I had a lot of major injuries, and they were broken ribs, most of my ribs actually. I had spinal fractures. Both of my lungs collapsed.
Wait, spine fracture and your lungs collapsed.
Yes.
Oh, geez. I'm
Yes.
sorry. Go ahead. That's just shocking.
Grade 5 liver laceration, blood clot in my inferior vena cava. Yeah, so just one of those things is enough to end someone's life, and I had a lot, and I obviously recovered, but yeah, it was a long process to get there.
Oh, I bet. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, one, one sense you're in such good shape and such a strong athlete, but just even the mental fortitude to come back from something like that is really amazing. How long did your recovery last?
I was in Renown, the hospital up in Reno, for about 5 weeks, and in the ICU for about half of that. Yeah. And then when they discharged me, I moved back with my parents up in Tahoe for about another month. And then I think I was cleared to start jogging and slowly build up running maybe 3.5 months after the accident. And then once you start moving your body, like your muscles develop quick. Like I had lost obviously a lot of muscle mass and strength, but once I started doing those things again, it came back quicker than you expect. I think the hardest part was being in the hospital. Yeah. And then I think to fully recover probably about 6-ish months or so.
Okay. So at what point did your brain tell you that you wanted to stay with endurance sports and even train for another event? And at what point did you sign up for another event?
I think it was, I remember like after the first night in the hospital, waking up and preparing myself and saying, like, you know what, if the doctor says I can't ever walk again, or I can't swim or whatever, like I'll be okay. Like I can find something else. But it wasn't like I was hit and then I was instantly deterred from endurance sports. I think it was like, how am I going to come up with a new passion? And so when he told me you will have a full recovery, it's going to be hard, it's going to be long, that was a good, like, okay, like I'm okay. But now I just got to take it day by day. And
you realize how good of a message this is, to everybody who's listening. The fact that you were absolutely smacked down, and the attitude probably, do you think the attitude helped your recovery?
Yeah, I think 100% that helped, and just having something to motivate every day. And I'm not saying that I was motivated every day. Obviously there were days where I was like, this sucks, I wish this never happened. But I would say for the majority of the time that I was recovering, I had a pretty positive attitude and just wanted to get better.
Yeah, and that's fantastic, and that probably helped.
Yes.
Helped you get better. Now, you hadn't done a triathlon before this accident, had you?
I had done a few Olympic distances up in like Northern California, and probably just Northern California.
So lead this into you qualified for a world championship.
Yes.
You qualified for worlds. So when did you do that? And what, talk about that leading up to that.
Yeah, so I once I recovered, I ended up running for UNR my last couple years of college. And then, and while I was running, I still cross-trained with cycling and swimming. And so then when I had graduated, I wanted to get back into triathlon and mountain biking too. So I just started picking that up last summer, and did a couple local races. And then the Xterra Lake Tahoe was in my hometown. So that was the race that you can qualify for Worlds for. And so that was the one that I ended up being able to do that. Yeah. Which was beneficial because obviously I'm used to training at altitude. I had the swim, I had the run, and I had been road biking. So I knew how to bike, and then I had just spent a couple months really working on mountain biking and learning how to kind of.
And now you have me curious as far as what's the difference between your Olympic distance road triathlons and a mountain bike triathlon? Yeah, how do those two compare?
I would
never
say
done.
that
Go ahead.
the Xterra is probably most like it probably would fit the Olympic distance category. They're about the same length. So even if the bike is shorter or longer, it time wise usually is around an Olympic distance.
So that's cool.
Yeah, this is amazing, and it's really incredible that the accident is part of your journey in endurance sports. So I'm curious, even how your perspective of training or even competing in endurance sports may have changed, or did it change as you came out of the accident?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, it sounds cliche, but it does shape your kind of perspective and outlook on life. And so I think now I'm at a point where obviously I want to do well and I want to train at a high level, but I have to make sure I have the right intention going out to train. Like if I am just doing it and going through the motions, like I probably shouldn't be going out and doing it. But if I can go out there and appreciate my time in the outdoors, I can appreciate going on a new trail or just appreciating what my body can do, even if I'm not feeling the best. I think that's what keeps me motivated and keeps me in the sport, because I can recognize all the positives amongst some of the things that aren't so great.
A
That's
lot of people.
wonderful, and I'll tell you that that's a message that we all need to hear, is having that gratitude of being able to do things like this, and so that's really amazing. I'm also curious, is your decision to go down the path of occupational therapy, did that get influenced by this?
It did for sure. And it was kind of crazy because I had thought about it when I was recovering, but I didn't look into it enough. My major was psychology and Spanish. So I just instantly assumed like, oh, it's going to be a lot more credits. I'm going to have to do extra schooling. I don't want to do that. But then when I graduated, I ended up looking at it a little bit more and realized I was just missing one class for the prereqs into OT school.
Wow.
And so I took a gap year to kind of do those classes, or that class, and do some observation hours. Because I was really influenced in the hospital through OT. And then I actually was able to go back to the hospital last summer to do some observation hours with my OTs that I had. And so that was a really like full circle moment, really special.
Well, I bet they were thrilled to see you.
Yeah, they were. And a lot of the nurses and OTs, they follow me on social media. And so that's kind of a cool way to connect and just kind of remember who I had and have them kind of see my progress.
That's fantastic. Okay, so you had this athletic experience before the accident, and then you continued to do it afterwards. But I'm curious, where do you say was your first triathlon, or what was your very first triathlon?
It was a sprint tri actually, and it was the Try for Real in Harold, California in like June or July of 2019, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was that one. And I had a friend who did it, so he kind of showed me the ropes and like told me what to do, kind of taught me what I needed. And that was a really fun, I think, first triathlon, a good one to have as your first try, because it's nothing major. It's it's just a fun race, and
Yeah.
everyone there is great, really
Yeah.
nice.
With your incredible swim background, were you first out of the water in your first triathlon?
I think so, yeah.
That must have felt fantastic.
That did, and I think that's a good little thing to have, because once you like are feeling good and you're like, oh, I'm first out of the water, that just really like improves your confidence, so you're like in the race a little bit more. Obviously at that point I wasn't like the best biker, so I was getting caught, but I could run, so it was a good race, and it was a fun experience for sure.
And
Yeah.
how did you finish, and what did that feel like when you crossed that finish line?
It was one of those things where you finish and you're like, I want more. Like, I want to explore this, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. That's wonderful. Okay, so that is pre-accident, your first triathlon. How about your first triathlon after the accident?
The first one after the accident was, I actually think I did do, I actually think I did it, the one in Harold again as an Olympic distance, just because it was still while I was training as a runner on UNR team. So I couldn't do anything major, and
Yeah.
you know, so it was, you had to be very specific about what races you could do. So I wanted to do one. And I still, like I said, I still cross trained while I was a runner. So I still biked and I still swam. So I did that Harold one again as the Olympic distance, and I ended up winning.
Oh,
Yeah, that was in like 2021, I think. And then 2022 is when I started doing more Xterra off-road stuff.
What do you like better, the off-road or on-road?
I can go back and forth. I really love trail running, I think, more, but I think mountain biking and road biking are about the same for me. So
mhm.
Okay. But it's just, it's like with your attitude, and your picture was on a mountain bike too. So I figured you love the mountain bikes. We don't have those around here. I'd like to do one. Maybe John, maybe we can get an off-road triathlon here again
Yeah, there you
in
go.
our club.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. And we'll tap into you, to help with that, and pick a course. And
yeah,
what do you think of an off-road triathlon here?
I think that would be fun. I think that would be a cool way to get more people in the community, because I know there's a lot of people who trail run and mountain bike, but
Mhm.
aren't a fan of road riding. So that could be a cool thing to do for sure. And
Sounds-
obviously, like, I think that would be a good way to showcase some trails in Las
Mhm.
Vegas that people might not know about.
Yeah,
Sounds
we
good.
actually have some wonderful off-road biking here in Las Vegas on both sides of town. And where do you go and do your mountain biking down here?
I mean, I've only been here 2 weeks, so I'm close to
Oh, I
I'm
thought
in
you were
like
here longer.
Henderson, Green Valley, so like Makula Hills,
Yep.
is that?
Yep,
Yeah.
McCullough. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great trail.
Yeah.
The point to point all over the mountain and back.
Yeah.
So
So
very cool.
So I'm curious, when you started getting back into the endurance events afterwards, how did you approach training at that point? What was your focus? Were you focusing still on swimming and running as your strength, or did you have to shift more to adding some more biking in at that point?
well, after like college or after
When
when
you came back in your current career
okay.
of triathlon, yeah, this phase of
I
triathlon.
I think I put a little bit, because and I don't want to say it worked in my favor, but I my last semester of college, I ended up getting like a stress reaction
Mm,
in my left leg, and so and it was just one of those things where the doctors know what it was for a while, so it just got prolonged. So I was probably biking and swimming a lot from March until May, so
yeah,
that kind of helped. And then when I was able to start running again, I had like a solid base down
yeah.
for biking and swimming, and so then I felt like it was a little bit easier to incorporate all three at a similar level. where I wasn't starting from zero on the bike. I wasn't trying to regain my feel for the water. It was more now, okay, now I just got to build up my mileage slowly while I'm training on the bike and in the pool.
Yeah, that's cool. So what do you have planned for the rest of 2023? It sounds like you're well-rounded right now in your swim, bike, and run. So do you have anything coming up?
Yeah, I would love to do more races than I am, but I just think with grad school right now, it's a little tricky, but I'm going to do a local one up in Tahoe next weekend. Just it's a good one to support those communities. And then I'm gonna do nationals for Xterra in August, and I've never done like a nationals in triathlon, so I would love to see where I'm at and what I can do on that
Where
level.
is that race?
That is in Beaver Creek, Colorado.
Oh.
Yeah. This isn't necessarily a race, but I'm doing the death ride. I don't know if you guys have heard of
Oh
that.
yeah.
I did it last year. It was so fun. We
Yeah.
did that in July. And then I think, so I'll do nationals in August, and then there's a couple Xterras throughout the fall, like in Portland or Laguna Beach. And I just got to look and see which ones I can fit in with my fall school schedule.
Yeah, I get my death ride poster up there. So
Okay,
I just
yeah.
double checking. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
That's awesome.
yeah, I liked that last year. It was fun. So I'm
Okay, explain the death ride. I'm not familiar with that.
it's it is a 104 mile or 103 mile ride, and it's like the Alps of California, and you do 6 passes, and it is about 14,000 feet of elevation gain.
Is there another name for that, or is it just called the death ride? Because there's something about the triple bypass or something like that that covers, or is that a different race?
That might be another one.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
And this is all roads. It's not mountain bike.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yeah, that's his road.
6 passes, 100 miles,
Yeah.
14,000 feet. That's
It's beautiful, beautiful scenery.
no doubt. Yeah.
No,
You can
that's
enjoy it.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, Kate, this is interesting because you obviously have a strong swim run combo, and that's a very unique combo for a triathlete. Usually people have, maybe a bike run combo or maybe swim bike, but you're so strong in both the swim and the run. I think that's pretty neat. So race wise, what's going through your mind as you're racing and you're getting out of the swim, either in the front somewhere, if not in the lead entirely? Do you have like a strategy that you try to play out?
I think that I know like the swim, I'll be up there and I'll be okay. And I'm confident enough on the road bike now to where I'm confident in my ability, and I know I'm strong and powerful. So I'm just like, okay, I got to use that power to my advantage. And then the mountain biking, again, I know I'm strong and I'm a great climber. I think for me, it's just getting over the, not the fear, but I really want to improve like the technical aspect of mountain biking. And so I think having things in your brain where you're like, I know that this is my weakest point, or I know I'm not great at this, can be scary going into a race. So I just got to focus on like, I'm strong, I'm a good climber, and I'll worry about the technical thing when I get to it. Like that, I can't think about that during a race.
I have no doubt that the bike is going to be end up being a strength of your racing.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing, because you're coming from the viewpoint of, I know what I need to do to get better, and you're smart enough, you're going to figure that one out. And then hopefully we're going to tap into your expertise and maybe teach us how to do the technical aspect of the bike. Mountain biking, And if when you teach other people, it seats it in your mind even better. So just keep that in mind, and that'll be the end that I try to get you to, teach the rest of us how to mountain bike, the technical aspect of it. And you froze up again.
She may be. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
So, Kate, we're almost out of time, believe it or not. This is really great to talk with you. But I'm curious with your experience over this period. what would you look back and say this was your proudest moment that you've had?
Um, that's a hard. I think swimming across the lake was a big one for me, and then I just think recovering from the accident, but I don't even think I realized how big of a moment that was for me until I like graduated and figured out what I wanted to do with my career and stuff. And so I think now is where I'm like, wow, like I did all of these things to get to this point. And so I think just having like the mental fortitude to do that would be like a huge moment for me.
And that's justified for sure. It's like you came through quite a
Yeah.
bit and then you came out on top.
Yeah. And a lot of times, like, you just don't realize how serious something is until you're just like far enough away from it to where you can like look back and be like, oh my gosh, like I did XYZ and now I'm here doing all of these things. So even though I was running in college and I knew
Oh, this is going to be good. I'm wait.
No.
Yeah, boy, the mental fortitude to come back. Oh, there we go. Yeah, you were just saying when you were in college, you were talking about the mental fortitude from coming back.
yeah, and it's you just don't realize kind of how big something is
Yeah.
until
So
you are out of it.
yeah, maybe this will be my last question because I love this mindset that you have. I imagine crossing a finish line or maybe even getting to a start line, both of those have a different meaning now for you and it's a little deeper appreciation of what you can do.
Yeah, I think for sure. I think now like getting to a start line, it's more about just having fun and being excited versus having those stressors and the fears. And then just crossing a finish line again. I think for everyone, that's just a great satisfaction feeling, great gratification. But for me, it's like, you know what, like whether it was a good race or a bad race, like I crossed the finish line. This is something I couldn't do a while ago. And it's something that some people are in accidents and they can't come back. So I'm just lucky to be able to do that. Yeah.
And I think one more thing that we need to mention, the official announcement will be coming out soon, but you are a awardee for the Legacy Scholarship for the club. And this is the second year that we've done it. And your story of being involved with triathlon, going through the action, going through recovery really touched a lot of people. And I think that's such a great story to share because it is a story of encouraging each other and really, you know, the story of having a lot of gratitude. So congratulations on being an
Thank
awardee
you.
for that too.
Yeah, thank you guys. I know I'm new to this community, but I love the support that you guys bring and hopefully I can contribute and help out the club in some way.
Awesome.
And I'm going to leave it with John's last question, because that's a wonderful question. And the other questions that might come up about your future races, we're going to talk to you after you finish Worlds, and we'll have you back on, and we can talk a little bit more because you bring a great message and to the group, and you can see the attitude in your face that you can do this. You have proven some really tough. You've gone through some tough stuff, and so when you get to that starting line, it's like,
Yeah.
I got this. I just love the attitude.
Oh.
So thank you so much for being on tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
All right. Thanks, Kate. And we'll talk again soon. So we'll see you at our next event, actually. So that's going to be
Yeah,
awesome.
You're going to be there on Sunday?
I will be.
Very good.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Night. You were so
Wait,
different.
I just got to push one more button. Okay, now we're good.
You were so different than other folks.